Well, we're at the moment you've probably been waiting for. I got the fabric off the top of the left wing at least, and what did I find? Stay tuned. Let's find out. All right, so here it is. Kind of a sad state of affairs, of course. It stinks to see the airplane torn into as much as it is, but it was necessary, and I think good things are going to come of it. So, yeah, the question now is, now that we've gotten into the wing, now that we can see it super clearly with the fabric off, what did I find? Well, a lot of different things. So, first and foremost, I will say, overall, there's some positives here. There is some stuff that was honestly probably better than I expected. One of the things you might be able to see on the video, the leading edge is actually looking really clean, really good. So I'll definitely be able to reuse that. The spars are looking good from everything that I see. There's some stuff I'll need to clean up, but nothing super concerning. Even the ribs, in terms of corrosion, I'm not really seeing much. However, there are definitely some issues that need to be addressed. And there's some things that don't necessarily have to be addressed, but I probably will. And what I mean by that is there are some previous repairs done to some of these ribs. So if the repair is done properly, there's no reason I can't just leave it there. It's plenty strong, right? It's actually stronger than the original rib because it's going to be doubled up. But again, if I'm going through all this trouble, I'd rather bring things back to like new without repairs in there. So there are some ribs in here that I'm going to replace that I don't necessarily have to. So yeah, so there is definitely some positives. And I am going to try to cling on to those positives because there are certainly some things that are negative as well. A lot of the negative here definitely stems from the fact that the airplane had been for many years stored in an open air tea hanger. So it was covered, it was protected from the sun, it was protected from that UV radiation that breaks down the paint in the fabric. So the paint and the fabric were very well protected and in good shape. However, being in an open air hangar does mean it was accessible to all manner of critters, and that definitely reared its ugly head, and I will show you the results of some of that. All right, so the final thing, the big thing, the thing that got us here in the first place is, yes, there are definitely some cracked wing ribs. The good news is, again, I haven't found anything in addition to what the shop already found, right? They found 3 cracked wing ribs in this wing. That was through the inspection holes. Not always the easiest to find stuff, but when I have all the fabric off, that's all I've found so far. I have not found any additional cracked wing ribs. So right now, out of the 13 full-size ribs on this wing, and when I say full-size, you know, even these on the aileron bay, I count that. I'm just not counting the just nose ribs on the leading edge. So the 13 full-size ribs, 7 of them either have damage or have had previous repairs. So basically half of the wing ribs I am planning on replacing at this point. So it could have been a lot worse, right? And I'm grateful because of the remaining 6, from what I see so far, they all look completely serviceable. I am happy for that. There's some work that's going to need to be done. Of course, there's going to be some replacement that needs to be done, but again, it could be worse. I could be on the hook to have to replace everything, and I don't. As I've said before, if you like what I'm doing here, if you could be so kind as to give the video a like, maybe give me a subscribe, and certainly share this with your friends. All those things do a world of wonders for the YouTube algorithm, get me out in front of more people. And certainly, if you have any questions on the video or anything you want to say, if you could leave a comment below, that's also super helpful for me. But I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching this, and I hope you're getting something out of it. Okay, now let's get into some close-ups. One of the biggest things I found that was somewhat unexpected, but in hindsight, I should have expected it, was some significant evidence of critters. So what I have here, I have 2 different kinds of wasp nests in here, standard paper wasps, and I'm not really sure what this is. I've got mud dauber nests in here, which this is something the previous owner did tell me he found mud dauber nests in the fuselage, and so I should have definitely expected them, and there are numerous here in the wing. This one's kind of interesting. So you've got the aileron hinge point here in this channel, and I mean, that is full of mud dauber nests. You can see there's an inspection cover right here, but unless you put a mirror up here to look at that, you're not going to see that. It's no longer in here. I did have evidence of mice. So this little strip of fabric here, one point there was this lacing between all the ribs. It's simply an assembly thing, so it's okay that it wasn't there anymore, but the mice definitely chewed through all of that, and that was all used to make a nest. All right, so now what about the ribs themselves? So I have marked each of the cracks with red tape here, and then each of the areas that have previously been repaired is marked with yellow tape. So you can see here, this was the first crack that kind of started everything out. This was the first one they found that got them digging deeper. Here, we got another crack, and you can see there's a repair done to the bottom of the rib. This rib repaired down there at the bottom. This one, interesting, so it's repaired top, bottom there, and bottom there. So this rib has seen some significant repairs. And then another crack here. And then coming down this way, we've got a repair here. So most of the repairs are up between the spars, and so that's what I kind of found. The other issue I found, this butt rib, I've got it marked with red tape. It's not cracked, but I am going to replace it. This is also kind of frustrating. I'm not super happy with whoever did this. The fairing that covers the gap between the wing root and the fuselage is screwed into the rib here. I believe I've seen people add tabs onto this rib to give more space, because what you can see here has happened in multiple places is at some point that fairing got redone, got moved, something, and they drilled. They weren't able to line up with the holes that existed, and they drilled new holes. I think I covered it up. Like you can see here, we got two holes right next to each other over here. You know, just a bunch of holes right here again, two holes right next to each other. So look at how much material is getting removed from that rib. Now, is it the end of the world? No, you know, this up close to the airplane, it's obviously also being held by the fairing, but it is just frustrating to see that much material removed. And then here, this is also frustrating. You can see here, this is the wing tank, and thankfully they did not drill into the tank itself. I don't know how well you can see this, but there is a little lip there, and they did get close enough that they drilled through the lip of the tank. So again, they did not puncture the fuel tank itself, but that's just sloppy, and I do not like it. So this rib is definitely getting replaced. And when I redo it, again, I might add some tabs and have the fairing come out a little bit further and screw into those tabs so that I'm not drilling into the wing root, or excuse me, into the wing rib itself, because this is sloppy and ugly and I don't like it. I'm upset that it looks like it does. So that is definitely going to get addressed. You can see here, you know, flanking off the tank, but no big deal. The tank itself looks to be in good shape. Again, most likely I'm going to clean that tank up and probably sell it. I know I've had some people comment on keeping the tank, but for me personally, I'm really leaning strongly towards getting rid of that. But again, so you can see here, the leading edge, again, you know, it's glue from the skin, but this is in really good shape. See absolutely no issues with the leading edge. Cleaning up that's going to need to be done. Wingtip bow, in decent shape, but you can see, like, especially here, you can kind of see like this section kind of flattened out. You can kind of tell with, you know, it looks like a more abrupt corner there where this is. So I'm probably going to get new wingtip bows that, you know, carry a nice continuous curve around, and they're inexpensive enough that I just don't see any real reason to keep the old one. Again, I'm going through the time and expense of rebuilding this. I want to make it as nice as I possibly can. So that is where we are at. There is certainly work to be done. As drastic as this may look, overall I'm fairly happy. I think I can get replacement ribs for all the ribs I need to replace for not too bad, and press forward. So that's where we're at.